Hello, this is Dr. Abraheim Weizfeld-Goldsheider Friedman, doing a translation of the interview with my mother from the Yiddish interview that I did with my mother in 1998. I guess this last interview, the sixth interview, was also conducted in 1998, rather late. Her voice is very weak. It's difficult to make out what she says sometimes. But here we go. And let me now continue with Cyrla Weisfeld, originally Cyrla Goldsheider-Friedman.
Okay, this is Sylvia Weisfeld-Goldsheider-Friedman. This is
okay. Now we're starting to speak. This is Sylvia Weisfeld who's going to be speaking.
Me, A.B. Weisfeld-Goldsheider.
And it is myself, A.B. Weisfeld, that is speaking.
How does the
She's saying she doesn't hear. So I say, oh, you don't hear?
Hello? 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 The haast?
Hello? Do you hear? I'll show you now that you can hear.
Yes?
Ja, es hat sich geredet, etwas.
Ich habe es gemacht, besser.
Okay. Do you hear it now? She says, yes, I hear it now. You've made it better.
The haast jetzt? Ja. Der haast noch besser jetzt?
No, noch nicht geredet.
Noch nicht?
Now, do you hear it even better? She says, no, not good enough yet.
Is that good? Jetzt ist besser?
Now is it better?
Jetzt ist besser, was gehört.
Now it's better. I've heard it.
Ja.
Aber noch hätte da wolltest du das allein hier.
Okay.
But I hear your voice. You're right next to me.
Okay, jetzt hand is de 16e oktober.
Ja.
Nou, geschrieben de 10e is, niet de 10e.
It's the 16th of October.
Daar staat de 16e.
Das ist schön. Das ist das auch mal vorne, das ist das toll mit der Dach.
Okay. Jetzt Daten redden von de Sachen, die das noch nicht geredet haben. Wir redden nicht.
Now we have to speak about the things that you have not yet spoken about.
Nur allein von dir. Wir redden von den anderen Daten, von der Family, von den Partisanen.
So we have to speak about the other members of the family and the partisans.
Was man weiß nicht. Du darfst mir suchen alle die Sachen, was du gedenkst jetzt, und du darfst sagen.
And we need to talk about all the things that I don't know about, and that you know about.
Gedenken, ze reden van alle met die als vernimmt zich met van de Jiddische partisanen.
And all the information that you have about working with the Jewish partisans.
Gehoord aan man, mijn gezintje, dat hoort geheißen, zeg je.
I just remembered that my cousin also was named Sesha.
Zeg je. En geweest nog in Rusland, ontloffen, met haar.
And she was also in Russia.
Dat soort maken, dus met geld. Dus geween, ze had geween hebben, dat betekent ze niet gehad nog met een man. Ze geween anders op een andere plaats reizen.
So she wasn't together with her husband yet, but she was in another place in Russia.
Had ze me dat geschreven, als ze gevonden mijn adres, had ze me geschreven, zal ik.
And So she sent me a letter. She found my address and she sent me a letter that I should come and meet up with her.
Had ze me geschreven, aber ich habe nicht gekannt, das verlassen.
And so she wrote me, but I wasn't able to follow through.
Habe nicht gekannt kaufen, habe nicht gekannt kriegen.
I couldn't buy anything. I couldn't go anywhere.
Es ist nicht gefallen.
And so I went nowhere.
In dem Schreiben hat mir schon nicht gekannt reden.
And after that letter, we couldn't speak anymore.
Und wie hat sie geschrieben?
From where was she writing the letter?
Von Russland, aber ich denke nicht, in welchen Gegend.
In Liebesgedenkschaft?
I don't remember from which neighborhood she lived in.
In Russland?
Ja, aber da auch in Russland.
Oh.
Yes, and she was also in Russia.
Ich bin gewesen, ja.
Sie Name ist gewesen Sasha?
Ja, ja.
And
Sasha
her name was Sasha.
Goldsheider?
Nein, sie gewesen, dass Cyrla Goldsheider ein bisschen passen da. Ja.
And her name was Sylvia Goldsheider. And my mother replied, no, that was her name before she got married.
Mein Vater gepriesen.
Ja.
Aber danach hat sie auf einen Mann so.
Das ist
But afterwards, she took her man's name.
gewesen.
Weiß auch nicht.
And his name, she doesn't remember.
Sie den ganzen Atomen Tage über. Kleine Kasse.
Or she didn't know her husband's name. Anyway, she said that it was a small wedding in Russia.
So, was hatten getan die jüdische Partisanen dort? Und wie
So what did the Jewish partisans do there? And
ist es sich gekommen mit der kommunistischen Partei? Hat die kommunistische Partei gelassen, die jüdische Partisanen zu tun, da zu halten, die Meetings?
and what did they do together with the communists? Did the Communist Party, what did they do to the Jewish Bund? Did they let them have meetings?
Ich weiß nicht.
I don't know.
Sie hatten gar nicht kein Meeting gegeben?
They never had any meetings?
No, in Russian, you think?
Ja.
Oh, what's coming in jail?
And she said, what, meetings? No, you can't have meetings. You would have gone to jail.
Op een dag losgegaan in een andere country.
Hat nicht gehalten, keine jüdische Meetings?
Nein, dat is gewoon. Ja, maar je gaat eines in ander.
No, and then I asked, didn't you have any Jewish meetings or Yiddish meetings? And she said, no, we spoke with one another.
No, bis op Jiddisch.
Ja.
In de Polische und ich in meine. Und sie hat dabei говорить по-русски. Ja, wir reden, nicht reden Russian. Aber wir wissen, was du redest.
And when they were around the other Polish people, they were told that they should speak in Warsaw in Polish and not in Yiddish because the others could not understand.
Ja. Dus ik ben de communisten, dus ik gered zijn.
Arbeiters.
So I asked her, was it the communists who spoke like that? And she said, workers.
Arbeiters.
Ja.
En wat hadden ze gezegd van de Jiden?
And what did they say about the Jews, about the Jewish people?
Nicht spannend, aber ja.
Waarheid?
Nein, nicht gerecht.
And so I said, did they criticize or insult Jewish people? And she said, no, they never said anything.
So was noch hast du getan? Wie sei das da rausgekriegt?
So what else did you do there? So you escaped?
Die Schwester.
You escaped with your sister.
Die Schwester ging nach Heidelberg in die Verraschung.
Das ist die Frage. Bis
Sie
wie
do-
bist du gegangen?
So she took her sister to Gifraschen. And I said, well, what's that? What's Gifraschen?
Magdeburgs, Ural.
Oh, Euros.
Ja.
Es geriet noch einmal was, da steht.
Oh, Gloschen. That's, no. Zlotin. I think she was saying Zlotin, which is the Polish money.
Madrigas,
Magnetogors.
Magnegors,
Ja, Magnetogors.
Magnedegors,
Magnetogors, Torgors.
Magnetegors.
Ja.
That's where she had gone to. Evidently, it's the name of the city or something.
Was hat jeden gerät von der Regierung dort?
And what did the Jewish people say about the regime there?
Wat je kan redden, wat je kan wensen redden.
We couldn't speak. We didn't have time to speak about such things.
Maar je weet van Horowitz, daar heb ik veel. En met gewoond op zijn zietje.
So we worked and we lived in Savizitska.
Dus.
6 bedden in haar room.
So I said, what's that? And she says, oh, that's where you have 6 beds in a room.
We're in a hospital. I bet
In a hospital.
Yeah.
In the first times, at the beginning of their refuge in Russia. That's how they lived.
So, was hat ein jüdische Bundisten getan?
So what did Jewish Bundists do?
Sind sie reingegangen in die kommunistische Partei?
Did they go into the Communist Party?
Nee,
No.
die communisten hebben niet gewollt met de partij.
So the communists didn't want to have any relations with the Jewish Party. She calls the Bund the Jewish Party. Of course.
Zijn we gemeint, de Polische communisten hebben niet gekregen van de Russische communisten.
And the Polish communists didn't like that we were in a Jewish section.
Het is een andere communisme.
It's another communism. And so they didn't like it.
Dat is geweest voor je.
It wasn't a follow through. It was another communism that was different from the one before. They were leftists.
Das ist wichtig, sehr wichtig. Das.
And I say, this is very important, you know, is very important. And she says, yeah.
Ja, das
She says she doesn't have the strength.
ist nicht laufen, du darfst noch haben ein bisschen.
So I say, don't speak quickly, just, you know, speak slowly and take it easy.
Aber die jüdische Bundisten, was hatten sie getan?
And the Yiddish Bundists, what did they do?
Du weißt nicht.
You don't know? She says, I don't remember.
Sind nicht gewählte Bundisten?
Ich bin nicht gewählt, bin nicht in der Partei.
I wasn't in the party.
In die Bundestische? Die bist
Ich bin in Parteiische. Gearbeitet nach Geschäft.
I was in the Parteiische, which means the affiliate to the party, which was the union. She worked in as a clerk in a store.
Wiener Union. Ja.
I was a young one. Yes.
Maar gewollt so raising the wages.
Ja.
And we wanted to raise the wages. when she went on strike with the Bund union. And from what I remember, she went on strike against her Jewish employer. Like the Jewish, economy was made up of small boutiques and small workshops. And she worked in a small shop as a clerk. And on the day of the strike, the general strike for raising wages, she went into to work actually because she liked her boss. And her boss told her, what are you doing, coming to work? You're supposed to be on strike. Probably the boss was a Bundist as well. So she learned at that young age, how to be active.
Yeah.
And she said that her boss had told her that when there's a strike, you have to follow it. Others lost their jobs, but I didn't lose my job. So her boss said that she was being in a good way. That is with the strike,
Dus gewend de nummer van de union.
What was the name of your union? I can't remember. Different men, different people, all together. Didn't have, any extra name, any special name.
Mit Marco Semke, sie ist geboren bei Frau von Raschen, wenn der Mohammed hat sich gefindigt. Ich bin 40. Jahr aus von Raschen. Und sie ist rausgeflogen, 45. Ja.
So Sesha, her cousin, she got out of Russia earlier in 45. With a friend. Educated people. Oh, not the cousin Wajsfeld, the artistic woman that I mentioned in the previous video. This is another cousin, Sesha. The communist cousin was Wanda Weslovska or Weslovsky. Now we're talking about Sesha.
Sesha, die was weiß nicht, wie ich genommen.
Oh no, de andere cousinke.
Ja, de andere cousinke von Raschen.
Ja.
Ja. Aber geheilt, nicht Familie. Also umgekommen in the States.
So I heard about her and she made it into the United States. Where she had a daughter.
Ja, habe gemietet, ja. Und es hat gefunden, in der Gefahren war Wrocław. Und dann gewesen ein größer Office für die gekommenen Menschen.
So she came to Wetzlar, and there was a big office, for the people who were coming in to the refugee camp. So she went there to the office to see if she could find any people that she knew. So I only found her, Sesha, the cousin Sesha.
Ja, und man hat gesucht, sei frei. Und man gesucht, dass sei umgekommen, früher und dann nicht alle rausgelassen für die 40. Jahre.
So her other friends had come earlier than her, and others were not allowed to leave the leave the USSR. So I was able to leave the USSR in in 46.
Was het gedaan in dem?
Catholic, women.
Was dat gedaan?
And what did you do in the refugee camp?
Das war jetzt hingegangen, geschleppt, schwere Steppes zerneuden.
So I used to carry heavy things to the oven.
20 Klitze.
Was is dat chapis?
Eigenlijk zeker Holz von Bäumen.
Ja.
Oh, she would be carrying wood, to make a fire to cook with.
Ik doe große Stücke, zijn nog gewoond.
Big pieces of wood.
Ja, grondige.
Ja,
Logs, in effect, round pieces of wood.
aber gedogen schleppen ze naar oven.
So I had to carry them to the oven
Een helft naar aanleggen.
Ze bruin?
and to put them into the oven
Ze brennen, ja, ze maken
to burn.
de heat had dat 50 volt.
Dus gedaan in de country of in de city?
Ik gewerkt facility,
And this refugee camp, was it in the country or in the city? And she said, it's not in the city, no.
Ja.
Next to a small city.
Nemen als de gearbeitet, mit jüdische oder russische?
So with whom did you work? With Jewish people or Russians? Different people.
Was hat de Polische gesagt von de russische Kommunisten?
And what did the Polish people say about the Russian communists?
En was hat de russische gesagt von de Polische Kommunisten?
And what did the Russian communists say about the Polish communists?
Was hatten sie nicht geklagt miteinander?
Did they not like one another?
De russische Kommunisten alle bewusst op een zaal gesetzt in jail.
Russian communists were put into jail
The government.
Eingesetzt
by the government.
Experiment, de russische oder polnische?
Nee, de Russische.
And so I said, which government was putting the Russian communists into jail? The Polish or the Russian? And she replies, the Russian.
Zij zijn gemeen gewoond hier, zou ik zeggen. En de Polische hebben dus niet gegeven. En ze hebben niet gehouden.
Ah ja.
Difficult. And so the Polish communists were not in agreement.
Was hatten de russische gesagt von de Polische? Sie sind trotzkistische?
Ja, niet gezegd.
So what did the Russians say about the Polish communists? Did they accuse them of being Trotskyists?
Hatten die gehört von trotzkistische?
Did anybody talk about the Trotskyists or Trotskyist politics?
Politik?
Had ik gewerkt en ze werden we gewezen. Als gemoedje vandaan werd op
We never had time to talk. We were too tired, after work to talk.
de kerel van me goed.
Ja.
En werd ik dat abraheim, werd ik dat tegen ze werden gewezen. Waar ze leven, het zo was.
There were a lot of troubles, and there wasn't really anybody to speak with.
Misschien is het eigenlijk niet organiseren. Was je goed. Het gemaakt een beetje lessen.
We were just looking for, pieces of food in order to make something to eat with.
Hast du gewusst, was ist gewesen reingesetzt?
Did you know anybody who was imprisoned?
Ja. Ja, dan
Giel, my father, he was put into prison. She knew about that. That'll come in the translation of the interviews that I'll be doing with my father later on. But my father he was put into prison because he missed a day of work. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you the story. My father had a sore foot. He went to a doctor, and the doctor said, look, if you could come to see a doctor, then you could have gone to work. And therefore, the doctor said that he couldn't give him a letter of exemption because work was compulsory. All workers were conscripted. This was following from the plan put out in the Civil War of 1918, when Trotsky wrote a book called The New Course, in which he called for the militarization of labor, martial law. More than martial law, militarization, conscription of the whole working class. So my father had missed a day of work. When he came back to the workplace, the Jewish communist who was the commissar, supposedly the head of the Soviets, except that there weren't any Soviets anymore, and no unions as well. While the West had unions, they didn't have unions. Okay, fine, worker state, So she had him arrested because he didn't have a note from the doctor, and he ended up being in prison for 6 months. And so instead of just losing just one day of work, he was off work for 180 days. And then he got acquitted by the judge finally when he got to court, and exempted from compulsory labor thereafter. Okay. Now, go back to my mother.
Ja,
Opzij, dat is niet zo fijn.
sag's mal nach.
Dan je kan
Yeah, so he was put into prison. Cyrla, my mother, says of my father. And I say for 6 months, huh?
Zweedse dagen dat we verschieten. Dat zijn toch 75 jaar koud.
Nou, hat mir gesagt, es gibt einen krank auf
And it was very cold.
der Fies. Es gegangen zu einem Doktor. Und der Doktor hat mir gesagt, geht nicht gehen, Alette geschrieben. Sie sagen etwas, der ist krank, ist zurückgegangen zur Arbeit, hat uns gesagt, hat verloren, hat zur Arbeit.
So I was saying, this is when my father had a sore foot, and he went to a doctor, and the doctor refused to give him a letter saying that he was exempted from work that day because of his illness.
Eingesetzt.
Ja,
And so they put him in prison.
Ja,
aber dat heilt, denk
ja,
ik.
ja, ja.
And my mother says, oh, so he told you.
Ja, is goed.
Die hast du gewusst dort in Russland?
Nee,
So did you know him in Russia? Did you know my father in Russia? She says, no. She met him at the Wetzlar refugee camp.
op een week in de trein.
Ah, she met him on the way to Wetzlar on the train. Ah, I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't remember that.
Ah,
Dat is een persoon met Herschel in de trein.
Heschel?
De reden.
Oh,
And he was with his brother Heschel that he had saved as well. The one who was the cop in the Lublin ghetto, actually.
ja, ja, ja. Wie sie aus die Gebet kommt,
Maar zoals je zei, in de wagon.
But we saw each other in the wagon.
Dat kon gehouden werden. En is weer voor onze einlager. Het is
And we went together to the same camp
Wetzlar,
in Wetzlar,
Duitsland.
ja.
in Germany.
Umrat gegeben dort. Geschickt größere zu essen.
There they sent food to eat.
Amerika auf die Gestütze. Amerika und Canada.
America and Canada sent food to the refugees in the camp of Wetzlar.
Gegeben. Geschickt, gekannt essen.
Ja.
They sent food so that we could eat.
Wasserfall. Die Fischkes, ja.
So wird gerät.
With fish as well, I think.
Wer wird gerät plus? Und die hast gerät mit dem ersten Mal.
So what did you talk about when you spoke with him the first time?
Gewoon niet wie is das Leben, nicht feiern.
Wer
We talked about how the life was difficult.
hat gesagt?
Hat man nicht gesucht, hat man
What did he tell you? He didn't tell me anything. He spoke.
gerecht, was man halt essen, was sie ja, was er nicht weiß, wir haben nach Hinterplatz.
He just talked about, what there was available, what there wasn't available. It was in a hungry time.
Wer hat gerät der erste?
Weil
Who spoke first?
das weiß ich. Can I denken,
Can I remember him or me?
Hast du gehört in Jiddisch oder Russisch?
So did you speak in Yiddish or Russian?
Jiddisch, en dat dan
Yiddish.
kan dat niet.
Alles in der Gemeinde Jiddisch?
We can read in Yiddish. We were able to speak in Yiddish.
Dat
Ah, ja.
Of niet gesproken hij was. Dan I got a big other father in the office. So again, that's high.
They wouldn't let me go home. I went to the office and they gave me a sign.
Dat ga je naar weg.
Ja.
Dus dat is nog bezaan. Dus hij is nog zo high. En hij is nog school om te gaan op de high.
So they either didn't let us or it wasn't possible to go to our old homes in Warsaw, of course. Now, I wasn't a citizen there. I was a citizen of Poland, which actually is not the case. Poland refused to recognize the citizenship of my parents when I applied for my own Polish citizenship to be recognized. And they said no, that I wouldn't be recognized as a citizen because my parents weren't recognized as citizens, even though I had proven that they were born in Poland and came from Poland, according to various documents. Still wouldn't recognize that my parents were citizens of Poland. That's in the current government of Poland, which follows the Nuremberg laws, basically, which remove the citizenship of the German Jewish population. So either we wrote or we didn't write, I don't remember. We just kept on going. So I say, yeah, that was a tough time. Okay, there was a break time there. Now we're going to start again.
Yeah.
Good. Het is Montag, de 18e van oktober.
Yeah.
1993.
So the 19th of October in 1993. Oh, so this is earlier than the last video. Yes, her voice is stronger in this video. Very good. Hi.
Hello, hello, hello.
I was wondering if you were going to work today because you were up so late.
Yes, I left at 9:30. I started at 10 this morning.
Oh, so that was good.
Yeah, it was a good thing. A little rest.
Okay, I'm doing a recording in the video here. It'll take me another 30 minutes or so.
Okay, no problem.
Oh, I forgot to put the video on pause. Anyway, we continue.
Was ich darf fragen, du weißt schon, du gedenkst.
Well, I have to ask you, you remember already. You remember, don't you?
Die kleinen Sachen, was andere Menschen wissen nicht.
That is that we want to talk about things that other people don't know about.
Wenn was man darf reden. Also wie die es gearbeitet hat in Russland.
From what we need to know, like, what you worked at and how it was, in Russia.
Was die kriegen bezahlt für die Arbeit?
How much were you paid for your work? We were paid not a lot. Once a month.
Ja.
sie gewesen, nicht genug auf KS.
There was not enough to eat.
Ze hadden niet gegeten essen.
They didn't give you to eat, food to eat.
Dat is te lang gedaan kaufen essen.
You had to buy your own food.
Ich gekannt kaufen für jede Sache.
We couldn't find anything good to eat.
An Milch dort heute. Aber das ist eine bessere Sache, die ich gekannt habe.
So we would have some bread, but not anything better than that.
Mehr.
Dat is alleen gedaan kaufen essen, of ze hadden gegeten essen.
Did you have to buy your own food, or did they give you food to eat?
Was ich auch allein.
No, we had to buy it ourselves.
Kochen sich.
Cooking.
Ja.
Hoeveel schuwen in de tok was er gearbeitet?
How many hours a day did you work?
Oh, mehr war schon.
More than 8 hours.
Maybe so 6 or 7.
Until about 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening.
Van de vrij? Wat
Ja.
meint de vrij? En dan zeggen?
Amor lachte, aber
So I said, did you begin to work at 9 o'clock? And she said, sometimes 8 o'clock.
du dürfen gehen in den Mai auf ein Feld, auf ein
We had to go from the Maya to a field.
auf Harlem.
Ja.
Auf gegangen, jeder was frei.
Dus
So we had to get up before 8 to go out into the country.
ik in 6 uur.
Ja,
So he came back at 6 o'clock.
So dus meint
Arrest. Und sie geht von der Medizin.
is 19 uur tok.
So you were doing 9, 10 hours a day.
Ja.
She says 8.
Hoeveel was die krieg betaald?
Wer kann nur denken? Sie war
So how much did you get paid?
gewesen.
Oké, maar hoeveel was als ik geen
Ich
kreeg?
krieg mehr zu essen.
Oh, dat is hadden gegeten essen?
Ja, super, so, was wir gemacht haben, so ein paar Kessel, eine Armee.
So we didn't get paid much. She doesn't remember how much exactly, but they gave us some soup. They made soup, in a big pot, like for the army.
Ja. Dat hadden gegeten als soep. Hij dacht de tok, dat is gearbeitet.
Ja,
So they gave you a soup during the day when you were working.
De oven was die lang gedaan kochen.
ja,
And in the evening, you had to cook for yourself. Yes? Yes.
ja.
En dat is gaat genoeg geld te kopen essen voor de oven.
And you had enough money to buy food for the evening?
Es ist nicht gewesen gelegt.
There wasn't enough.
Gegessen muss man gehen.
So we ate what we could.
Was is geween? Was kerst was brood,
So what was there? What did you eat? Bread?
melk,
Milk?
Ja, Milch mit ein bisschen Potatoes,
Milk with a little bit of potato soup
Reis nachsaugen.
and other things.
Nicht Kabaschen essen.
dat is essen.
Cabbage.
Cabbage.
With other things, not, special things, like cabbage. And
Ja, maar dat is essen. Dat is de
I say, but this is healthy eating, isn't it?
beste essen.
Habe ich schon mal gegessen,
This was the best thing to eat.
bei der Arbeit, wo ihr heim, hat rausgerissen von der Ehe. Ja.
Maar
So in the work, what we did was we pulled things out of the earth.
dat is goed, zeer goed,
Ja.
zo.
Ja,
Dat is de beste essen geweest.
ja.
So this is good. This is the best food that you could have eaten, the healthiest food.
Doen mensen essen vlees, dan gaan ze raar.
Here, people eat meat and junk,
Ze werden krank.
and they become sick.
Am besten altijd nicht gesund.
Maar het is niet zo slecht. Ze hebben niet.
So she was trying to say that it was worse than in Toronto. And I say,
Nee, het essen gaat er zo. Het is niet zo slecht.
So I said, to eat healthy food like that is not so bad.
Nou, met dat de vrijheid. Met dus.
But what we need, is freedom as well as food.
Ja, het is geen
Wat is
raar.
geen vrijheid?
Ja,
But you didn't have any freedom. And she said, yeah.
de rijden, de lopen te snel warven.
We had to lift and we had to throw things fast. I guess passing things on to other people.
Was gaat de union?
Ja, wat hij doet.
So did you have a union in Russia, And she says, a union? No.
A Sovjet?
Serieus.
Het is geen Rust.
Did you have a Soviet? She says, like she sort of backs off of that notion. And so I said, well, what is, Russian about it all?
Klar, het is de communistische regering. Warum das nicht gab keine union?
So that was a communist regime, how come you didn't have a union?
Als je eens geweest met 100 jaar, 80 jaar, zei.
That was 50, 60 years ago. Who knows?
So, es ist meestal Jiddische, das hatten gearbeitet.
So it was mostly Jewish people who worked together there?
Ja, maar
Yeah.
vroeger geweest in de Jiddische, meestens Jiddische.
Wen zijn ze geweest die...
There was a few who weren't Jewish. Mostly they were Jewish, the workers.
Mensen zijn niet geweest Jiddisch.
Een wissel.
Heute?
There were some workers who were not Jewish. And she says, a little.
Mijn geboren in de...
Aha. En dus hadden ze gearbeitet met die.
Those who were born there. And so I said, what did they have to do with the Jewish people?
Ze hadden niet... Gewoond was aan me. Gezeitje. Aber wusste. So they got a key, so they got...
So one was a boss woman, a woman boss who had the keys.
Potatoes.
So sometimes she would give me potatoes.
Some mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes.
Dan is het neuven en je maakt dat weer cheesecake.
So we would bake the mashed potatoes into a cheesecake.
Daar was ik in.
ja.
Als ze me geen nashtike.
Ja.
Ich habe bewusst so ein bisschen letzte Gewinner.
And on Sabbath, Shabbos, Saturday, we had some from a good person.
Ja, je brengt nog de pschenice, aangeschieden waldentjes. Ik kan het betogen.
Was is het?
So we had chenishke. I don't know what that is. I think it's potato peels. And we stole also.
Chinese.
Das macht de brood. Je schiet als de
That makes the bread. I guess she means yeast.
plevers, en je schiet ze aan in de meel aan.
On the mill. In the
Ja,
mill.
ja. Maar je brengt dat is zo. Dat is gewoon aangeschieden in de schier, in de waldentjes.
So she's talking about work, where she would take some stuff from the mill for her personally. She stole from the mill in order to have enough food to eat, it seems, is what she was saying. Mill, some kind of, flour mill or something like that.
Dat vindt ze in de schier.
Oh ja. Dat was gigantisch.
Oh, ja.
But you stole. He says, yeah.
Niet alleen maar
Not all the time.
If something you think, if if ze hadden gevonden dat die is gegaan, dus hadden ze
And if they found that you had stolen that little bit of food,
geteamd ze daar.
what would they do to you? And she says, oh, they never found out.
Als ik dacht dat zo'n rent, want is
Did you have to pay rent?
geween de leven, was
Where you lived, did you have to pay rent? And she said, well, we didn't have any money.
ze wisten die de babus gekregen daar, het is dat gebouwd.
Nee, dat gaat geen uitrijden. Dat is als mensen zo niet krijgen, als ze müssen opstellen, of nooit geleid daar weg toch dat aanvallen.
So I'm not sure who she's talking about, but somebody who was helping out, other people.
Veel civils, alleen als je bijna heet op raket. Thailand, dat je weet de ijs en de winden.
There was ice in the window.
En ze weet, als tent, als ze wachten naar Paris, a table, niet heavy, dinner breed.
So we made a cable of thin wood.
Ze weet zich
And that's what we used to sleep on.
Neben Maas, daar is op de hond in de front.
And that was, right beside the ice. And the ice, would hang in the front.
En veel klein was in de Zwitser.
Is die geen krank?
And then people would get sick. So I said, did you get sick?
Een beetje, niet was hard.
I got a little sick, not very much.
Anderen zijn geween krank?
And others were sick, and she said yes.
In the hospital was the mensen die zijn geween krank?
Was there a hospital for the people who got sick?
Hele tijd dat je in de hospital. Ik ben weer naar je moeder in de hospital.
Cyrla, somebody was in the hospital, and then she's saying that she was in the hospital for a short time once.
Dat was.
En dat je gaat diarrhea.
And I said, for what? And she said, well, we had diarrhea.
Ja, op de jongen in de hospital. En dan moet je gaat het really painful doen.
So we were in pain.
Dat was een schil geween in de hospital.
Het is zo'n gewone feest.
My father was in the hospital as well, but she doesn't know why.
En de dochter in de hospital had gezegd, kijk je maar naar hij. Toen ze vast was.
So when she was in the hospital, the doctor said that she was going back home the next day, but there was frost outside.
Ze gaat dat is iets. Schlof een warme plaats.
So it was cold, and I didn't have a warm place to sleep.
Ze kan moet ik mee. Tegen het aan mij. De dokter had gezegd, tegen het aan mij, het aan haar.
Ja.
Ja, gaf het.
So is mogelijk ongeveer.
So the doctor said something in Russian or something, and just saying that he hoped for the best.
Redden ze die en de andere? De partie apparaatnischke. Wie zou zeggen apparaatnischke?
Ze geven me nou niet met ze voelen. Je weet als de speakers.
Ja, dus.
So I said, were there any party officials who came to speak to you? Apparatchnika, apparatus people. And she said, yeah, there was, some people who came to speak to us.
Ja, dus
Будет хорошо, это
and they would say, "Oh, it's going to be good."
Dat was zo. Het is zo was.
Dit het zo is.
And she's so she so she sort of describes it as the speaker sort of, you know, talking about good troubles or a good goodness in a troubled time.
Hadden ze gezegd, ze zijn
De gitaar met
gitaar.
Yeah, they came there to encourage them to work well. And that was the purpose of their coming to speak to them.
Hadden ze gewild die zelfs heiden ze zijn een partij, van de partij.
So did they ask you to come and join the party?
Ze hadden gewild die zelfs een eigen partij.
No. So they didn't want you to join the party?
Dus hadden ze gezegd van hadden ik het hebben van de Joden.
And what did they say? What, did they speak about the Jewish people?
Hadden ze gezegd de Joden zijn een goed leven daar in Rusland?
So did they say that it was good for Jewish people to live in Russia? Or
Goed gered van Joden.
or did they say nothing about Jewish people? They didn't say anything special.
Je weet eigenlijk dat zoeken. Dan kan je nog wat is gewoond. Wat gearbeitet heb afhangen. Je moet dus je kent. Toen ik gewoon in fietsen zijn.
So there was one who was working on a farm who didn't have a place to live.
Nog 25 kilometer te af.
And we would go 9 or 8 kilometers
Nog gearbeitet ik wel venster snel.
in the darkness, quickly walking.
Je weet dat wegen. Als een shuttlebus.
And then there was a wagon, like a shuttle bus.
Met schild. En dort op je gesessen. En gedrummeld over de laag.
Oh ja.
And we'd be taken together in Nembitsk and we'd stay there overnight.
Dat was een geile mens. Dat is mooi.
With other people. And one time,
Dat je geheim van de arbeid. En wil een zitten in baas.
and one time when I was coming home from work and I went to the bus,
En dan zit wel een venster. Of je kan niet dat zeggen. En als je zegt met Peter, ik wel.
and it was dark and I couldn't tell what was going on.
Welke platen door Leitel. Ze gaan daar het zien wat in vrede. 4, 5, zo een beetje nacht. Niet de nacht.
Ja.
And I would go out to people to ask them where we were going in the middle of the night.
Oh, dat nog het zo was.
Oh, there were a lot of troubles,
Wat is het zo was?
big troubles.
Also, wat je volgt nog een hier, nog een nog.
And then I walked here and I walked there, and another time I
Sorry, het is wel taai.
became tired.
En nog een jongen toen. Het is al nu geworden. Ja, wat je levenstijd de bas weer genomen hebben. Het is gezegd, wat is dat?
And then I found the bus that we were supposed to go to, and I couldn't find it before because it was so dark.
Als je gezien hebt is van de kreeg, is die geen Bundist of de airplanen.
So did you see any of the war? Did you see any bombs going off or any planes?
Nou ja, ook koppen op de mensen maken. Drieven.
Ja.
Van
Well, they took us to make holes, trenches for the soldiers.
dus ik ga door de
tanks.
And barricades to stop the tanks from being able to advance.
Ja, de terroristen, dus ik ga weer jumpen.
To stop the Hitlerians from advancing.
wie dagen is gemeente die Krieg?
And how deep were these trenches?
Je hebt gestanden gezorgd spelen.
Oh, I had to stand in them, and I worked very hard.
Maar je niet meer wist dat je kinderen niet kunnen wijzen van ja.
They didn't take children for this work.
Een beetje kilometer.
So we would take a few kilometers, we would make.
So, als je gezien wie ze gekomen de Duitse armee?
So did you see any of the German army coming?
Wat heb je gemaakt?
No.
Ja, alleen met diep gereden.
No, we made a line with a deep trench.
Zo'n wissel kop, de mensen gaan.
So as to allow the people to go into them.
Kijken. En mijn nachten gaan je naar huis schiffen. Heb ze een armee.
And in the night, we would go to sleep in the army.
Wezen ze mars, hoor. En de gewater aan het koppen. Dan moet je aan het veen. Dat heb ik. De volgende eer.
So I was, in Yiddish, literally speaking, I was throwing earth and shoveling earth.
Met een schabbel af. Gestaan. Ze is geweest veel.
With a shovel, where I was standing.
De schabbel, maar een wissel. Ja, maar dat was zo. Dat is echt meer vijf, meer of zo.
And there was a lot to throw out, to shovel out.
Ja, je moet ook. Dat was mij. De zekerheid van die oude.
Zo, als de geheente mensen gekomen de armee en de Turkische, als de geheente geschehen hebben.
Ja.
So did you hear the army coming? Or did you hear anything? No.
Natuurlijk.
Hadden mensen gegrijpt dat Rusland gaat gewinnen de Krieg?
Did people believe that Russia was going to win the war?
Hadden mensen gered dat de gemeenten dat de Duitsers gaan komen?
Or did people think that the Germans were going to be coming?
Dat hadden de mensen gemeend.
What did the people think?
Ja. Je wist dat het Duitsland winnen.
Ja, hadden ze gemeend dat Duitsland gaat gewinnen? Ze hadden gemeend dat Duitsland gaat gewinnen?
Was dan Rusland?
So I asked 2 more times. So did people think that Russia was going to win the war?
Ja, FG. Ze hadden gemeend dat Rusland gaat zijn hebben geraakt. Gewinnen bij Duitsland?
Duitsland hat doch nicht gewinnen der ganze Krieg.
She says, in reply, she says, but Russia did not win the whole war. No, Russia lost 27 million people, which weakened Russia tremendously and was a contributing factor to the failure of the socialist revolution there.
Nog ze klapt.
Ja. Hadden mensen gemeend dat de Duitsers aankomen, nemen Moskou?
So people were clapped, and I said, "Well, what did people think that Germany would overtake Russia and take occupy Moscow?"
Alle steden.
And other cities,
En nemen de ganze Rusland.
and take over all of Russia?
De gemeente dat Duitsland gaat gewinnen de Krieg.
Or did they believe that Russia was going to win the war?
No.
No. They didn't allow. I don't know what that means. I think that means that people weren't allowed to express their opinion in that way. She's saying that she has a headache.
Was is de nummer van die andere mensen met die je gearbeitet met?
What is the names of the other people that you worked with? Jewish names. Who remembers? You know, Weigele. There was one with her mother, a mother and a daughter. They lived there a little further away. Don't be concerned about these silly things like names.
Je darf gedenken aan andere zaken, dat zijn de terugtekst.
To write things down. And then I replied that it's important to remember stuff because these are important facts.
Ja, en wat te gedenken wie zat gefundigd wordt.
Ja.
It's to think about how the war came to an end.
Mensen waren happy.
People were happy.
Want die gingen linnen.
We received linen.
Je hebt groente, maar de girls.
And we traveled to Vigance.
And
Chava, her sister, had a child with her husband Hersch.
Als je dus gaat gezocht, dan gaan we kinderen met de linnen en af te naaien van kinderen.
Dat is geen Wetzlar.
So we had linen with which to sew.
Yeah.
And that was in the refugee camp of Wetzlar.
Ja. En wat je wist dan, en dan moet dat zijn 6 weken vrienden.
And we were thinking that we were going to go back home in 6 months.
En meer belangrijk dan in dat het gaat over, dus je gaat gezocht.
And I went alone to the Chagla and didn't tell anybody. And to where you would travel back home.
Nachdem wir bis Warsaw gegangen, beide zusammen nicht gegangen, dann nachdem es Laden mit dem Kind, da tun da kleinen Stiefel oder so in der gegangen, also in der Basement mit der
So I went with, I guess, her sister Chava and the child, and they lived in a basement in which there was a dirt floor.
Dus ik denk Tova.
So the first child there was Tova, a cousin of mine that lives in Beersheba. Tova Feinzelberg. who told me never to come to visit, never speak to her again because she's a Zionist. Okay.
Oh,
Herrschaft ist es. Darüber, das führen mit Führen zusammen.
So Chava's husband, Hersh, the war criminal I told you about previously, he said that we should all travel together.
Ich dachte, man die gemeldet und die geschrieben und die ich nenne.
And I replied, I need to have documents, written documents, and where would I get them?
Das ist gut.
We should go back home in Poland and Ukraine.
So wie ist es? Sie sind gegangen zu Israel, die bis gekommen zu Kanada.
Aha. Zij zijn hierin kalpsig.
So Chava and Hersh first went to Israel and then they came to Canada.
In unser Shalom, de vermachte Waggonen, de trein, had zich voorgesteld ook.
So when we were in the train stopped there. We stopped to look for family members. I heard that there was some heavy duty work, black work, she calls it, dirty work.
Cup and day, it's a cup is a coppice.
To dig the earth.
Into the buildings, yeah.
Yeah.
So, a coppice. Yeah.
Zwie?
Yeah, Zwie.
Zwie or Hersh. No, Zwie. Zwie is not Hersh. Zwie is my father. Yeah.
Is Zwie?
Hersh.
Oh no, she meant Hersh. Yeah.
Also, hier gesessen, ich habe umgesetzt. Ein Chazaitje, ein Bewusste, das Prinzessin, gewinnt Maria, hat gar keinen Mann.
So, Sesha, her sister, lived with a boss lady who had a husband who was ill.
Ich hatte mit Kindern, aber sie kamen zum der Shalom gekommen, Menschen sind reingegangen, schon vorher, hat sie mal rausgebracht und tatsächlich zu Harris für schwarze Brüder.
So, when other people came, she brought her a sack in which there was some black bread. For the voyage.
Yeah.
In the train. So the kind of work that we had was went into a woods and I used to cut down trees.
And
splitting wood with an axe. And there was enough hard work.
Yeah. That's it. What we did. That's my maths of hands. So test and made.
So they made food for us to eat on the way.
So wie lang bist du gewesen in Wetzlar?
So how long were you in the Wetzlar camp?
Wetzlar in a year.
A year.
In the Breeders of Minsk.
And a brother traveled to Minsk.
Dort hat seine Freund.
He had his friends there.
Welke Britten?
Of the picture. Ja,
Oh, Deen?
ja,
Deen.
kleiner Mensch.
Maya? Nicht Maya.
Maya, ja, Maya, dat reist, Maya.
Maya?
Martina, ja, Maya.
Ik moest
And which brother was this? And I said, is it Meyer? And she looked at the picture. Yeah, Meyer. Yeah.
de Britten was die beginnen ze gaan naar Rusland.
Ja, ja.
So this is the brother that helped you get into Russia?
Is geblieben bis Ende van
Ja.
de Krieg.
Ja, ik weet een andere city. Geweest in Minsk.
So Meyer, her brother, was in another city. He was in the city of Minsk
Dort hat sein Girlfriend.
with his girlfriend in Ukraine.
Not,
Jüdische?
had a kind, ja.
And they had a child.
Ging in Warschau. Dat ja, we naar Feier in Warschau. Ze zitten in Luchtgejucht allemaal. Dat niet.
This was a child from Warsaw. And there was a fire, and they were chasing them all the time.
Ja, dat is een mens geweest. Als ik werk, is al niet dat je nee. Want dan nog is er ja veel goed nog hoor, als ik weet, vast.
And so there was another who was shorter than him.
Ze is geween, is geween in Wetzlar,
Ja,
nog de Krieg met
Ja.
die.
So Meyer was there in Wetzlar with you after the war? And she says, yeah.
ja,
En is teruggegaan in Minsk.
nee, ik ga met hier. Sie sind gekommen, hat sie gemolden
So did he go back to Minsk?
auf bei der Nachalство, also der Mann auf dem Brief. Er noch schlechter Mann hier. Aber das wollte sie zusammen mit mir.
Ja.
Also mit der Idee, Präposition soll zielführen. Das war ein Kind.
So she wanted to be with her man, and so she went and traveled.
Nu haben sie schon immer gewollt, in so einem Fall.
And then they had a little dwelling there, and
Schreiben das auch noch. In der Jahre über Kind.
they had a child.
Was is die nummer geween?
Ich weiß nicht.
And what happened to him? I don't know.
Dann sei es nicht gewesen, sei es nicht gewesen, übergefahren von Minsk, wenn es nicht fand.
So they didn't make it to Minsk.
Minsk is in Ukraine. Minsk is in Ukraine.
The Minsk in the Ukraine?
Weißrussland.
Oh, Weißrussland.
Weizfeld-Goldsheider, which may have become part of the Ukraine.
So this might is geblaben leben.
Ja, aber danach hat geschrieben,
So that means that Meyer, remained alive. He was alive. And she replies, yes, but
als geht in der Armee.
afterwards he wrote that he was going into the army.
Nog in de Krieg.
Nein, mitten in der Krieg.
No, not after the war, but during the war.
Oh,
Ja.
het is niet geween in Wetzlar.
Nein, in
So he wasn't in Wetzlar. No.
Marschenschönheitsland sind wir gewesen, Kiewska Oblast.
No, he was in Viersleblask.
Ich habe,
Kievsk-Blask?
ja,
Dus is wie? In Weißrussland?
ja, oh,
Ah.
ja.
Was is das Gericht jetzt? Weißrussland.
So that was in White Russia. He says, yes. And I said, what is this White Russia called now?
Dat is levend Ukraine. Niet waar.
And so I said, is that, what's called Ukraine now? And she said, not far.
Ja,
Okay, so ist gegangen zu Minsk.
ja. In Geneva hat er nicht geschrieben, selbst hat er geschrieben. Also er ist in der Armee.
So at first, I got a letter from him saying that he was going into the army.
So schicken zu der Mama ein Parcel.
And that we should send a parcel to the mother.
In
Also,
Warschau.
ja, ob es auf einmal geschieht.
She wanted to send a parcel to their mother, my grandmother, in Warsaw. And she says at one time a parcel was sent.
Gewoon, dat is gekend verkennen. Genoeg in de land gemaakt heb, het was een schijn meegeschieten.
And the response was that she wasn't able to make it there. And then afterwards, it was no longer possible to send anything into Warsaw.
Nee, had je niet gekend te schrijven, ballen daarbij.
And then he stopped writing because he was in the army.
Ja, en zie gebleven met een kind. Moest ik wel met hier wie zijn gekend.
And he was together with his wife and child.
Ook niet gekend was gevonden.
Oh, dus aber
And we couldn't find out what happened to them.
ich gewiss, Freunde. Das meint, ich habe eine andere Cousinke.
Oh, I didn't know about that before. This means that I have another cousin. And she replies, do I know?
Maar ze zijn es, ich war von einer andere Cousin.
But it's true, I have another cousin.
Gedaan.
Ja, aber had wat gezegd, dat is geschreven.
Yes, but Chava wrote that
Dus gekend was gevonden. Wie is
that she couldn't find out where he was.
Cyrla geheißen.
His wife was called Sarah.
De
Cyrla, ja.
vrouw.
Ja, de vrouw.
Cyrla Goldsheider.
Ja.
En het nummer van de kind weiß nicht.
So the name of his wife, of Meyer's wife, was Cyrla Goldsheider. And my mother replies, yeah. And I said, well, and the kid, what about the kid's name? And she says she doesn't remember.
Sie hat keinem geschrieben zu dir, du hast keinem geschrieben zu sie.
So she never wrote to you, you only wrote to her?
Nein, habe geschrieben.
Chava wrote, not her, but her sister Chava wrote.
Genoeg de woorden. Had ze geschreven, ze had vroeger.
And after the war, she wrote to a few places.
Dus vriendelijke Cyrla met dat kind, dat Goldsheider.
To find them, the names. She gave, Sarah Goldsheider and all that, and the child.
Hij is er niet geweest. Nee.
But they were no longer there.
Okay, red nicht mehr.
Okay, so don't speak anymore. You're tired.
Ik heb het gezien.
Oh, ja. Ach, wat gewollt zijn, zei
So I said, do you have anything to say to Sally? And she says, oh, yes. I'd like to say to Sally.
Het krijgt wisselen. Oh, je
Is
zei
het wel
van.
erg goed dus, ja?
Oh, sorry.
Ja.
Het din, zei het din.
Ja, zei dit.
Zei het din.
So she says that he should put on some more weight and that he's very thin.
Rustig, ja. Essen.
Ja, ik wacht essen.
And she said, does he like to eat? And I say, yeah, he likes to eat.
Ja. Ik heb hem nog niet gezegd naar je.
Just don't give him a lot of, like junk food or candies.
Meer zaken te messen.
Ja,
More things to eat.
ik wacht naar je.
Ja, naar je.
And I said, well, he doesn't like, like junk food in any case.
Ja.
So we should not get him accustomed to eating junk food and candies.
Ik heb nog zacht te essen. En de eerste zaak heb ik hem een wissel te naschen.
So I give him a lot to eat, and I give him some snacks as well, but not a lot.
Nicht vergessen.
But not before eating. Snacks not before eating.
Ja, Geschlank het is ook zeker in een lijn. En dat is omgehen, rastgehen,
I did show.
So you should teach him how to take care of himself, how to get dressed, how to get undressed.
Ja.
Ja.
And I said, yes, I've already taught him that.
Wegbleiben,
To put things away in order.
Dus lijkt er niet.
And I said, that he doesn't like to do.
Dus dat is een lange.
That he should learn.
Je hebt te gaan volunteeren op een jonge kinderen van 6 jaar.
So when I volunteered, I was teaching children for 6 years.
Het gaat zijn, ja, ik weet. Het is gewoon niet.
Dus daar op hij een vader. Je gaat dan 4 handen, dat 2.
So I said to my father, I don't have 4 hands, I only have 2.
Dus hoe me help.
We must have some help.
Dat is de keer.
Ja.
Ja, dat is afgeven, die andere zaken.
Ja.
To clear up all the things.
Oké, gaat degene dus te drinken?
Should I give you something to drink?
Oh ja, du hast mir gesagt, dass sie gewesen faschistische Geschreibers gemacht auf Theodor bei der Weltchrist.
So you told me that there was some fascist writing put on the building here at the Baycrest Jewish Home for the Aged.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Ariante.
Before the holiday. That's Pesach in this. I don't know which. No, maybe not Pesach.
Voor 4-5 dagen was je schoon in Kippur.
4 or 5 days before Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur in September.
Zijn nieuwe securities erin.
We saw new security around the building.
Meer securities.
More security.
Als met mij dat is wat geweld heb is maken.
So we understood that there was some trouble being made because of the increased security.
Is geweest hij ging geleden ongeveer met haar gun, met nog.
And there was a young lady there with a gun.
En nog als een man gestiek in Leiden gearbeitet. Ja.
And somebody else with a long stick or something. And they were walking back and forth. And they kept the doors locked. And only one door was left open. And when we came in, to the elevator, it was closed. And so all the glass doors were locked for a whole month.
Wij zijn zo gemacht een demonstratie in Montreal tegen de fascisten.
In Montreal, we had a demonstration against the fascists.
Inze is geween 1000 en zij is geween 3000.
And our counter demonstration, anti-fascist counter demonstration, was 1,000 people, and the fascists were 3.
Sick. Die zijn naar weggelopen.
And they ran away. Yes, there was a demonstration, she says.
Tegen de fascisten.
against the fascists.
Als de Faschisten und Gewalt machen etwas,
Because the fascists were trying to do something,
hatten uns gesagt, nein,
and we said no,
lasst ihr nicht.
that we're not going to let them.
Faschisten sind der Rache.
Faschisten,
And she said, the fascists, the rich ones or
Nazis.
Die Nazis, ja.
Nazis? Yes.
Also,
Azoi means, oh, in that way.
was sagt Nazis? Man,
And she said, were there a lot of Nazis?
ja.
30.
And so I told her, no, there were just 30. Not 3, as I mentioned previously. That was a mistake. So the 30 Nazis and 1,000 anti-Nazis.
30 Stück, 30 Menschen. No?
30 Menschen.
Oh,
30 people only? And she says, oh, in a pleasant way.
absoluut. We doen meer verhinderd dat ze.
Du bist der Schahid, ja. But dort hatten sie Gatte Meurer und sind dann weggeläuft.
So in Germany, in Europe, there were hundreds, of Nazis, but here, and I explained to her, I replied, yes, here the Nazis are afraid and they ran away.
Inständig bijna 1000.
And we were 1,000.
The government had this gezocht.
And did the government say anything about it?
Dat we dat maken demonstratie.
And the government let them have a demonstration?
Ja. Aber sie hatten geschickt die Polizei.
Yes, the government let them have a demonstration, but they sent the police.
Sie halten Sachen mit den Nazis.
Ja.
Die Polizei sind dort gestanden, sie uns verblocken, nicht zu kehren.
So the government the police came to protect the Nazis, and they were blocking us from going any closer to the Nazis.
Dat is waar je ze wordt.
Sie lassen die Nazis zu bleiben in der Platz.
So as to allow the Nazis to remain in place.
Sie sind gekommen und sind reingegangen in die Polizei.
But we went around the police,
In so Gatte Meurer.
and the Nazis were afraid.
Haben sie gesagt zu den Nazis, geh weg, wir gehen
So the police told the Nazis to leave.
weggehen mit der, wir gehen der Ratten.
So the police went away with the Nazis and were protecting them.
Die Polizei geraten in die Nazis.
And so they saved the Nazis from us.
Sie haben weggeläuft.
And so the Nazis ran away,
Nein, mit der Polizei.
Hij is de politie.
together with the police.
Had gehouden met zij, met
Ja.
de nazi.
So the police were supporting the Nazis, she said.
Ja,
Dat was
Yes.
wacht de politie
Ja.
door het door.
ja.
Oei,
And she said the police were with them. And she said, oh my.
dat is veel.
Nein.
Dat is veel.
That's difficult. That's difficult.
Mit denen sind
Yes.
eine Gemeinde größer wie die Polizei.
But we were bigger. We were more powerful than the police.
Auch.
More powerful than the police, as well as being more powerful than the Nazis.
Nur Gemeinde, 100 Polizei, Gemeinde
There was only 100 police.
1000 von uns. Ich sag, wenn meine Freund hat gehabt Stecknis,
And a lot of my friends had sticks.
so holzene, grobe holzene Stecknis.
Thick wooden sticks.
Also ja, sie weggeläuft.
And so they ran away.
Ja, zij dat niet staan die groeps. Dat is als ik hier met een kerk.
Nein. Sie würden es sagen, ist.
I think she said something like, you have to be careful not to get your head hit. And I said, no, there were a lot of us.
En waarschijnlijk ging die snel. Ja,
Sometimes you can get hurt.
Sprach ist besser, wie uns kein sehr Wechsel machen. Wenn ich sehe, so kommen, dann sehe ich eine Klasse wie mir. Ich will kein dort, wenn uns eine Klasse wie sehr.
So, you know, we wanted them to run away. We wanted to be stronger than them.
Was ist das?
Mechanisch, sie kommen zu daheim.
She said, it's better to stay at home. And I said, no, we can't, you know, because they'll come to your home.
Darf mit ihnen.
So it's, you know, we have to do what we were doing
Wir bleiben daheim allein.
Aber
and not to remain at home alone.
Police darfst du auch sagen, denke ich.
Oh, no, das ist nicht. Die Nazis hatten gehabt eine Demonstration. Wir hatten gemacht, also wie Sick Heil und alles das.
So the Nazis had their demonstration. They made their sick Heils, and you know, Hitlerian salutes.
Aber ich gesagt, ich bin ganz der Polizei. Ich habe gesagt, du darfst nicht das lassen.
We told the police, you know, you shouldn't allow this to happen.
Und sie haben gesagt, oh, wir können gut nicht stehen.
And the police said, no, we can't do anything.
Aber die stellt doch schon was bei voneinander.
Nein,
Ja, halt
alle
das
zu nein.
geht.
Alle zu nein.
Alle nein.
Ja, alle nein.
So you didn't do this, you know, by yourself, did you? And I said, no, 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 we were all together, all together.
Ich halte das Speeches. Da muss man vielleicht halten Speeches.
It's you shouldn't make speeches. You shouldn't make speeches.
Es ist nicht gesagt Plätze, wie wir können halten Speeches. Es ist nicht so, es ist nicht so.
So she, you know, I said to her, you know, there's not much opportunity to make speeches, you know, in a demonstration like that.
Ach, zu machen Speeches.
En we willen maar gaan leven, maybe.
And so she said, if you want to make a living, you can't do anything, you know, like that.
Dat is af. Mission to be zaken.
Not anything, but you can't do a lot of things like that. She's right. I've been unemployed for 36 years. Although, you know, I've tried to apply for teaching in all the institutions and no answer from anybody.
It's the groeien kost een job.
What you need is, you know, you need to have your composure. You have to be quiet. You have to have, you know, a secure life. You have to have a job.
The best, the shows.
Eat and sleep.
Dat zou je als het zelf. Dus geen jobs als te zijn. Dus niet zeven later dan het.
And in that way you have a life, and you should seek not to tire yourself out too much with politics, she meant.
With the politics.
And the job is politics.
But I said, but my job is politics.
Ja, over geld is het misschien.
Yes, but you will not make a living from that.
Jetzt ga ik vorne zu Ellie Kersner.
Now I said, I'm going to call my comrade Ellie Kersner
Redden met hem aan de Jiddische vrouw.
to speak with my Jewish friend.
Ja, dan in de schuldig.
Nee, van de Now magazine.
She said, is she from school? I said, no, she's from the Now magazine. She was a political editor of Now magazine. That was a mass distribution journal in Toronto that was started by the Trotskyist youth, including Alice Klein and Michael Holleth, which adopted the policy of distribution of the journal for free, which was copied by all of the other mass circulation journals that started up in all the other cities, like Metro.
De Schraber.
Ah, schade.
So I said, Ellie Kersner is a writer.
Was wissen, en ze hadden hem een bier gehad. Ze zijn nog erger. Dat is de volgende. 可以教是这样子。
So she was saying, so you should be writing books.
C'est chiant qu'il écrit pas ça.
I said, I have already written a lot.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think that's the end of the interview. That's the end of Cyrla Goldsheider. Okay. What else can I say? But my mother was, you know, a Bundist worker who inspired me to rebuild the Bund, and inspired by the life of my parents who refused to go and become Zionists and engage in the massacre of the Palestinians. So that's what I started off with, and I've continued with, and will always continue to support the Palestinians in solidarity. The Jewish Bund, you know, will exist to save the Jewish people, and it is becoming more and more known amongst the young Jewish people that Jewish liberation does not work with Zionism and the state. Jewish liberation only works with the liberation of all other oppressed minority nationalities, to abolish the nation states and to set up the federations until finally there is a federation of federations in general worldwide. Thanking you for your attention, and please circulate this piece of work. And let me find the stop button here. There it is. Okay. So this is again Dr. Abraheim Weizfeld, political scientist from the Université du Québec à Montréal.